Welcome to Average Guy Reviews and How-Tos. Today we're going to be working on a Cannondale 24-inch. We're going to be working on the derailleur specifically. It's having some shifting problems. Looks like misalignment and some adjustments need to be made. Here you can see some misalignment of the derailleur parts. The wheels are not parallel with one another. This one is, it's kind of hard to see but in the camera, but it's misaligned. This bracket appears to be bent. And what that's doing is giving some misshifting there. Now, assuming all your adjustments are correct, that should be a smooth transition, and it hangs up right there again because of this misalignment. So the first thing we need to do, start out with a good foundation. We're going to attack the derailleur hanger. We're going to use some special tools today. We got a 5mm T-handled Allen wrench, a 3mm Allen wrench, and also a special rear derailleur hanger adjustment tool by Park Tools. So I'll show you how to get that proper alignment using that tool. First thing we want to do is start out by loosening the derailleur cable, shifting cable. With a suitable wrench, it's easier to do that first. You got some leverage and this is mounted onto the bike. And then we're going to go ahead and back out our cable so that we can remove that. Looks like we're going to have to cut that, so there's a wire hanging out. We'll crimp a new end cap on after we do that. Okay, next up is going to be removing the actual derailleur. It might be helpful to take a picture if you're unfamiliar with the orientation, but an easy way to remember when you put this together is your chain is going to go through like a backwards S, and that's going to fit into this little holder here that captivates it, and there's another one right there. So again, the easiest way is just to take a picture. These wheels are often different, so when you take it apart, note the orientation and look inside for the parts and pieces. Like the washer just fell out, but notice where the bushing orientation is, etc. And after you loosen this guy, you should be able to pry that apart and take that right out. Okay, to start off our repair, the first thing we're going to do is repair the foundation per se. So the foundation of the rear derailleur is the hanger right here, which is separate from the frame, and it's designed to, upon impact, break or shear off or bend depending on the severity of the impact. So what you want to do is give it a good inspection, make sure there's no cracks or damage before you even start, and if there is, these things are readily sold by the manufacturer of the bike that yours happens to be, so you can just order a new one. So to use the Park tool, what we're going to do is you're going to thread it into, there we go, and this is aluminum, so be careful when you thread it. The aluminum, the hanger is aluminum, and the tool is steel, so make sure that it's going in well, don't force it. We're going to screw that all the way in there so it's nice and snug. There we go. And what you want to, basically the concept here is you're going to measure the distance between 4 spots on the wheel, and some rims are not perfectly true, so you want to pick a point like the stem works really well, the valve stem, and so put it in the 3 o'clock position to start out with, and we'll take this measurement indicator and we'll touch it just to the rim surface. Okay, so using this indicator, we'll touch it right to the rim surface at the valve stem. Okay. Mark it there. And what I do is I'll slide this O-ring in right there to contact, so we have our mark made, or our position identified. We'll loosen that up, swing this around to about this 9 o'clock position. Move the valve stem like so. And what we're going to want to look for, and I'm sliding that to where that O-ring was, sliding the indicator to where the O-ring was, we're going to look for a gap. Just a slight gap, and it's about 3 millimeters. Park Tool recommends less than 4 millimeters, so it looks like we're in good shape. Double check our measurements on this side again. Slide the tool. Mark it with our O-ring. Bring it back, slide it gently to the O-ring. Tighten the clamp. And looks like we got pretty close. I think we're going to need some adjustments here. So we're going to apply a counter torque using the tool. Loosen this up a little bit. Just ever so slightly. Again, this is aluminum, so it bends really easily. And we'll measure it again. Okay, so checking our other dimensions, we're going to go to 12 o'clock position. And looks like we're off quite a bit there. So if we come down to the 6 o'clock position, see where we're at before we do any adjustments. Should be contacting the bunch. Yeah, so I need to pry this out a little bit. Again, it doesn't take much force. Okay, so now I'm going to adjust this to where we're contacting there. Go up to the 12 o'clock position again. Double check our efforts here. And it looks like we're too far in, so I'm going to come out a little bit. There we go. And it's about a millimeter in the gap there. It's just about perfect. And swing back down to the bottom. Back to our 6 o'clock, and we'll double check that measurement. And looks like I need to go out slightly some more. Here we go. So I'm about 2 millimeters there. And at 12 o'clock, should be in good shape now. A little bit more adjustment there. Average the two out. There we go, so about a millimeter there. One last time here. Again, it's trial and error to get this fine-tuned and average them out. Okay, looks like I'm within spec there, about 2 millimeters on the bottom. Okay, let's double check, make sure we didn't modify our other measurements. Go back to either the 9 or 3 o'clock, whichever you prefer. That one is touching. And back in about the 3 o'clock position. See where we're at here. Okay, looks like we're about 3 millimeters there, so pretty good shape. Pretty good shape. I think the tool has done its job. So go ahead and unthread this. And our rear derailleur is now straight. Okay, the other issue is with our rear derailleur. The problem we have is it's slightly bent up here, so this whole thing, the derailleur is now parallel, this portion right here, this plane, and you can see that this bracket, this outer bracket, is facing down and away. You can see that. So what we're going to do is, this is riveted on. You can see the rivet there. So what we do is gently bend this by hand, each one, until we get that into a straight plane, and then reassemble it. If you don't have a vise, here's one method you can use to straighten it. It's hard to see in the camera, but you can see we're just quite not in the plane there. This part is bent over slightly. This is supposed to be bent like that, but it's just tweaked just a little bit. So what you can do is just take your crescent wrench and put them opposing each other like that, and then slightly manipulate it the way you want it. This works really well for small parts like this and gives you that extra leverage that you need. Looks like we still got a little bit of tweak there. Grab this tab independently there. Again, it's just little minor tweaks. And again, that's supposed to be like that. Okay, looks like we're pretty good. We'll go get the other one. Okay, so here we are, the derailleur. And here's a straight edge, give you a better shot. The surfaces are really much better than they were before. Kind of see that. What I ended up doing was holding these two pieces apart like this, and then pounding it on a flat surface with a hammer, just gently, and came out really nice. So we'll go ahead and start putting this back together and get our bike tuned up. Okay, now it's time to reassemble our components. We got all the parts cleaned and squared, true, parallel. I'm using a Polylube 1000. Use any kind of a bike grease. What we want to do is just put a little bit inside these wheels here so that we get adequate lubrication. So just put some in there. Some in there. Okay. And a reassembly. And this is the upper wheel. Put that bolt there. It's just, I found the easiest way to do it. And you can bring this one, the back bracket or rear bracket, and it's sandwiched together. Like so. And once you get these started, life's much easier. It's nice having this wrench because you can see this, it's got a ball on the end which allows you to tighten it at offset, which is, it's worth the investment. A standard wrench I'd be fighting the spring tension to move it out of the way just to get that thing to line up. So what I'll do is I'll get it snug. I won't tighten it up all the way. I want it to be able to rotate like that. The other one, the bottom one, we're going to put in reverse after we get our chain routed, just like we took it apart. Okay, now to get the rear derailleur back on the bike. If you remember, we left this open and split. So this is just going to set inside, the chain is just going to set inside there like that. Make sure you're in the proper orientation on your tab. And then this is going to make our S-bend like we talked about before. So we'll pull that chain back and then grab our other wheel here. Helps to have 3 hands here, but we'll do our best. And I'm missing the washer on the back here because I just want to get this one started. There we go. And that kind of holds it all together. And then get a washer on there. Okay. And swing that down into place. Get our chain routed here properly. There we go. Okay. Washer still lined up. Hole started. Tighten that screw up. There we go. Before we snug them all, both up, we're just going to make sure. Yeah, looks like we're good. Double check the orientation. Yeah, looks like we're solid there. So snug these two bolts up. There we go. What you want to do is make sure, yeah, that spins freely, no binding. That spins freely, no binding. Cool. Okay, next we're going to put our rear derailleur back on. So what we want to do is make sure we clean our threads on our hanger bolt. And there's this little tab here. That needs to be up above this notch. What that's going to do is it's going to hold the rear derailleur in the proper orientation. So putting that up there, go ahead and start this bolt by hand. Because if you remember, the hanger is aluminum, so we don't want to, it can strip cross thread really easily. Okay, so got that in the proper spot, and we're going to snug that up. There we go. Alright. And that all looks good. Put our chain back on here. Alright. Okay, next we're going to put on our shifting cable for our rear derailleur. The housing guide is going to go in this spot right here. And reassembling, the spring goes in there. Our adjuster knob goes right there. And put our cable through. And now we're going to crimp our cable end here. Again, using our park tool that we cut the cable with, we're going to crimp it. There we go. That's secure. Okay. I'm going to thread that into its location, into the rear derailleur, and go all the way down and then back it up about one full revolution. That's going to give you some adjustment room. And I'm going to make sure my shifter is in the right spot. Yep. Nothing's changed there. And our cable is going to get routed into its holder, like so. And put some tension on the cable. And just finger tension again. There we go. That's snug there. Okay, next step, we're going to put some additional tension on here. This is our B screw. What that does is it rotates this end to where your first wheel is up closer to your cogs. What that's going to do is prevent from mis-shifting. So it's in pretty decent shape, but you want to have it as close, about a pencil eraser is what Shimano recommends. Distance there. We're almost there, so we're going to do a little bit of adjustment to get that a little bit closer. So you just rotate the screw, and going in is going to put more tension on the spring. This one was backed all the way out, so we're starting over. There we go. Okay, now that we got our rear derailleur mounted back on the bike, you can see that we're way off on our alignment, and it's actually pulling the chain far outboard. With Shimano, you want to just pull in just a touch outboard, but not quite that much. So what you do is, these are your adjustment screws, H and L. High is for high gear, L is for low gear. And you're going to want to turn that in. You can see it moving now to just slightly outboard in this alignment here. That looks pretty good. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my low spot and just move that up manually. You can see how I'm pulling outboard now too, so what I want to do is turn that screw, in this particular case, clockwise, and it's pulling it in against my pressure here. And you want that one just about even, or straight up and down. You can see that now. Okay. Okay, so with our upper and lower limits set, basically our low gear limit and our high gear limit, we're going to test the shifting operation. Check it out. What I like to do is go all the way down to my high gear and simply shift up and check that. Down, up. There's a little bit of hesitation, so we'll back that barrel up a little bit, just counterclockwise. I'm using a gear grip shifter, so it's not going to be the smoothest thing in the world in the first place, but looks like some hesitation on coming down. So what I want to do is I want to turn my barrel adjuster in. There we go. Relieve some of that tension. And let me check. I'm looking at the alignment here. It looks pretty good. So go back down. Okay. All right. I think we got her. All right, as you can see, the alignment looks much better. The rear derailleur looks like it's in better shape. Our hanger's repaired, and the bike is ready to go.